Welcome back to MilduraWeekly.com.au. This is Talk of the Town, and I'm very fortunate to be joined in the studio today with the new CEO of Mildura Rural City Council, Sarah Philpott. Sarah, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, great to meet you.
Congratulations firstly on the appointment. You've been a few weeks on the job now. What's your first impression of the region been like, and how have you spent those first couple of weeks on the job?
Yeah, my impressions have been great. I've loved it so far. We moved here about a week before I started, so this is my fourth week in the role, and I've spent that time really meeting the team in council, working with the councillors, and also getting out and about around the region. So that's been a terrific opportunity to meet with community members, and also just to see how diverse it is and how far-flung everything is in Mildura.
Yeah, it's probably not until you arrive that you realise how big the local government area or municipality is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is, and that's one of the real differences coming from metropolitan Adelaide, where the council's got lots of people but it's a smaller area. This is the reverse, so having a chance to get to Ogun and to drive around and to meet some of the local communities has been really important in this first few weeks.
Yeah, having had that time to settle in, I'm sure the question you're probably being asked a lot of by staff, those in the community, would probably be around what you see as the more pressing challenges, issues, priorities when it comes to council. How you been answering those types of questions?
Yeah, certainly people are keen to hear what your new thinking is. For me, this first few weeks has been about listening a lot, so getting to grips with and understanding some of the local issues. Obviously for us, we need to deliver on some of the projects that we've promised, so things like the Mildura South sporting precinct, for instance, and thinking about how we deliver on the rest of Mildura Futures is really important, because those projects underpin so much about community wellbeing. So really focusing in on those big strategic projects that we can deliver in partnership. Obviously there are lots of really important local issues, so farming, access to farm workers, farming accommodation, the plight of our farmers with water security and so on. So there's some of the larger issues that ripple through the community, even in the short time that I've been here. But the other thing for me is there's so much strength. It's very easy to focus on where our gaps are, or where where we might have to do more work. But there's also great richness and strength in this community that's very palpable. So, so the community's resilient. They're very connected to each other. You can see there's community drive and energy. And so there's some of the things that we can think about. How do we harness that, and how do we as council be a really credible partner in that and part of that community in delivering great outcomes?
Do you see that sort of, planning taking up probably the better part of the rest of this year, or have you sort of got some set short-term goals, long-term goals of things you want to tick off, as even over the next 12 months, 2 years?
Yeah. I think there's already great strategic direction set. Council's paid lots of attention already to setting a bit of a strategic framework. For me, part of it is how do we as a council work into that? How do we make a difference in this community? So part of the way I think about it is, if we've got a vision to be the most livable, friendly, people-friendly community in Australia, then what's our role in that? And as the leader in the organisation, I see myself as being really helping the organisation to think about how do we play our part in that? How do we make sure that we're focused on those community outcomes? How do we make sure that we take our part in delivering that vision? So it's kind of a combination of dealing with the issues as they come in, making sure we're responsive, that we're think about our community in everything that we do. And to me, that's partly about building a great organisation. The happier our people are in the organisation, the better they are to work with our community and get those outcomes.
Absolutely. Are you able to share with our viewers just a little bit about your background, just briefly where you come from and what you've done before?
Yeah, sure. So just prior to this, came from Port Adelaide Enfield Council, which is Metropolitan Adelaide Council, third biggest in the metro area. And again, I can see some real differences, but some real parallels. So Port Adelaide Enfield is like Mildura, lots of different communities, quite diverse, and with pockets of people who are really struggling and others who are doing very well. So you can see and draw those kind of parallels between your experience. So that's in local government, and also in local government previously in South Australia and in Queensland, in Cairns Regional Council. So again, that a diverse and large regional area, large geographic area with quite different populations and communities. So again, some parallels, and in between that, a bit of private sector experience experience and also working in courts administration. So a bit of a varied background there, but always with local government, it's kind of my heart place. It's the spot I come back to because I feel like it makes such a difference.
And obviously some key skills and experience that you can bring to this role and maybe offer something a little bit different to our past CEOs.
Yeah, certainly I think that each time somebody new comes into these kinds of roles, they're going to bring a different perspective and different experience, and it's about how you hold on to the strength of what's already been created and then add some additional value. And I'm acutely conscious of that for me, making sure that, you know, I'm personally adding value to the community and making a difference, and that I'm supporting the organisation to do the same.
Yeah. Would be remiss of me to not bring up rates. It's probably one of the big talking points at the moment, and obviously while I've got you, it's an issue that doesn't seem to go away in Mildura. We know the state government's reviewing the system at the moment, and that Mildura Council's obviously been invited to take part in that process. Based on your experience in working in local government in South Australia and having seen it in a different state, what are your thoughts on the current system, how it stacks up, and I guess some of the pros and cons when it comes to applying it in a rural setting? We've probably had a few councillors, even our mayor, go on the record saying that in terms of a rural setup that the system probably doesn't work. Based on your experiences, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess my experience is that rates are always difficult in every state that I've worked in. I think part of it is because the way rates works is a bit incomprehensible. It's hard to explain, and so I think part of what we need to do is get better at not only explaining, you know, how rates are formulated, but also being clear to people about, as we ask you for money, what do we do with it? I think there's some communication we can do about some of those things which help people at least see the two pieces go together. Certainly for me, I haven't worked with rate capping before, so Victoria has rate capping. South Australia didn't implement that, but that idea about how do we make sure that we're being as efficient and effective as we can, how do we constrain our costs but still deliver great services is always the juggle. So I am interested that the rating review is occurring at the moment, and you know, obviously council's just adopted a rating strategy for the next 4 years, which includes some rate discounts for our farming community and so on. So I'm still learning the nuances of what we've done here, but certainly I think that role about communicating and being clear about what we deliver as we ask the community to contribute is really critical.
Fantastic. Sarah, thank you so much for popping and having a chat, and looking forward to obviously working with you going forward.
Great, my pleasure. Thank you.
Be sure to tune back into milduraweekly.com.au for more videos.